Zamfara State Governor Dada Lawal has reiterated his administration's commitment to focusing on development and partnerships that will impact positively on the state. The governor, who represented the Nigeria Governors Forum at the Africa Sub-Sovereign Network Conference in Kenya, noted that the theme of the HAFSNet conference resonates with the developmental aspirations of African sub-national governments. Meanwhile, at the panel discussion on creating sustainable solutions for the development of the African region, Governor Lawal highlighted that development and sustainability are intertwined concepts that aim to balance economic growth, social equity, and environmental protection. Let's take a short break, and when we return, we'll be discussing security as we focus on how to deal with fresh Boko Haram threat in Borno State. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. Let's now get straight into our conversation for tonight as we discuss security in Borno State and particularly focusing on fresh Boko Haram threats in the state. And now we were speaking with Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi, former Zamfara State Chair, Committee for Prosecution of Armed Banditry-related Offenses. Good evening to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Olajumoke.
Right. You know, it's just dawned on me that we've spoken every other month since July. For you, does this speak to the level of progress made in securing the country or otherwise?
Please, can you come back? Can you repeat the question again?
All right. So help us paint a picture of the security situation in Borno State. Because recently unpleasant security reports are coming from the state. More than a dozen soldiers were killed on Tuesday in multiple attacks on a military base in Moba local government area with improvised explosives. Also in June, multiple suicide bombings in the town of Goza, which resulted in at least 32 deaths and more than 100 injuries. Verified reports also claim that many IEDs have been safely recovered in many instances within the state. And just 4 days ago, we got reports of operators who recovered 6 unexploded projectiles and 1 mortar bomb near an uncompleted building in the Dalakachala area. Talk to us about what you have found out about these fresh attacks in Borno State.
It is a very unfortunate situation and very disheartening and heartbreaking. Previous months and even last year, we have been celebrating that peace has been restored in Maiduguri and its environs. But the fresh Boko Haram insurgents attack and also suicide bombing is highly alarming. So there is need for security agencies, most especially the action agencies, to work hand in hand with the intelligence agencies, how they can get intelligence gathering and how to curtail this fresh Boko Haram attack. You see, from June to November, there is a report of this killing in Gwaza and Kukawa and many local government in Borno State, even part of even Yobe State. So there is need for the new Chief of Army Staff, who has been confirmed by the House of Representatives, to be very proactive in tackling this issue of insecurity in the Northeast and also in Nigeria in general. This is the major challenge he has at hand now, being confirmed by the members of House of Representatives. He needs to work hand in hand in synergy with other security agencies to tackle this issue of Boko Haram insurgents.
Well, Dr. Shinkafi, juxtaposing this with the latest Global Terror Index, which shows that Nigeria has made unprecedented progress in addressing insecurity, why do you think the gains recorded in the fight against insurgency in the Northeast have not been sustained?
You see, the fight against insurgency in the Northeast has been downgraded to the minimum level. If you look at the historically, how Boko Haram insurgency started and how it was being funded by the leader of the Boko Haram in 2002, and also in 2009, how it becomes a national phenomenon. And people have been killed in dozens, in hundreds. More than 40,000 people were killed. More than 400 people were turned to refugees in a different camp. More than 4 million people were displaced. So with the new method of the fight against these insurgents in the Northeast, most especially where the Boko Haram was founded in Maiduguri, it has been reduced drastically. So there is need for the government to deploy more resources and also to recruit more personnel to tackle this issue of insecurity in Northeast and also in the whole northern Nigeria and Nigeria in general. The resources has been recorded, but there's need for the government to deploy more resources, more also intelligence gathering, and also to use more technological device instead of using conventional security. There is need for the government to use advanced technology in curtailing this issue of insecurity.
Mm. So we'll come back to all of these solutions you've just raised. But as you uncover the contribution of these various factors, is this, I mean, if we're not careful, is this Borno State going back to the days of being the hotbed of terrorism in Nigeria?
What is happening these weeks, especially what happened in Kukawa, in Baga, the military were able to foil the military attack in the military base. And also, even today, a lot of successes were recorded. Many insurgents, Boko Haram, were neutralized by the military operatives. So the government has to do everything humanly possible, both the state government and the federal government and the local government, to see how they can join hands to fight this issue of insecurity, so that we should not go back to the bad days about maybe 8 years ago, where there was higher escalation of these insurgents across the Borno state and other neighboring states. So the government has to do everything humanly possible to work in synergy with the local community to provide an information to the military authority, also security agencies.
But how much impact did the August protest have on insecurity in the north? I mean, clearly we saw how the protests were marked by violent clashes, vandalism and looting, particularly in Maiduguri, but the Borno State capital, leading to heavy-handed security responses, including military interventions. Is there a possibility that the aftermath of these protests may have fueled these fresh attacks? Is it possible?
You know, the issue of this protest, you know, the problem of protests in Nigeria, some fit colonists will hijack the objective of the protest. So if you look at it, more than 24 people of the protesters were killed. And it has been hijacked by hoodlums and bandits, and it is turned to looting. So all these things, it has amounted to it has been going to escalate the issue of the insecurity. Even the insurgents can hijack the protest and continue to vandalize the state-owned properties, even the private individual properties. So the issue of protest will not solve the problem. There are some of the things that the government has to focus this issue of insurgency, historically, if you look at the background of Boko Haram, what does it mean Boko Haram? It means the Western education is forbidden. So the government has to checkmate the issue of illiteracy, bad governance, elite manipulation of political system, unemployment, poverty, and porous border. If you look at this Boko Haram, when it was founded by the leader of the Boko Haram, Mohammed Yusuf, he recruited members across even northwest, across the West African sub-region, and they ally with ISIL, ISWA. So these are some of the challenges. The government have to do everything humanly possible to address the issue of this elite political manipulation, illiteracy, unemployment, poverty, and porosity of the border, and also importation of smaller and lighter arms into the land borders. Mm. These are some of the root causes of all these insurgencies.
Mm. So, Dr. Shinkafi, for the purpose of clarity, earlier you said the fight against insurgency has been downgraded. So my next question to you is, by who? The community, security agencies, or the Northeast governors?
Can you come back again, please?
Earlier you said the fight against insurgency has been downgraded. So for the purpose of clarity, this has been downgraded by who? Do you mean the community, the Northeast governors, or security agencies?
You know there is this operation. There's a lot of theater operation which were established by the previous administration of Jonathan, Buhari, and also President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In 2010, the issue of Boko Haram has even escalated to the north central and the northwest. A lot of series of attacks were conducted in Abuja, in the seat of the power. Mm. In Sokoto, in Kano State, in Kaduna, in Northeast, entire Northeastern State. But the President Jonathan, former President Jonathan, have done everything humanly possible to downgrade the escalation of these Boko Haram insurgents across the northern state. So, and also when Buhari took over, he deployed a lot of military tactics, deployed more finances to tackle this insecurity, which have downgraded it to the minimum level. And also with the inception of this administration, it's one of the cardinal objectives or manifestos of the Renew Hope agenda, which also he assured Nigerians in his electoral campaigns that he's going to make sure that he fight these insurgents and armed banditry in the whole Nigeria. So this issue of with the cooperation of the state government, joint civilian JTF, and also the military joint task force, and also even the community policing, the state governor Zulum had done everything humanly possible to support the military operation and also encourage community policing in Borno State. And I commend his effort, his courage, how the refugees, the IDPs were returned to Baga, Goza, many other local government which were displaced before his administration. Zulum has did everything humanly possible to render some humanitarian services, to build some local government, even give support for establishment of small and medium enterprises in the Borno State. It is on record. He needs to be commended, and he needs to redouble
Dr. Shinkafi, you know, despite these efforts, Dr. Shinkafi, you know, despite these efforts by the state governor, the effect of the insurgency on Borno's social and economic activities have been devastating, as loss of lives and adoptions continue without an end in sight. Because of the 3 Nigerian states previously placed under emergency rule, Borno State, Adamawa State, and Yobe, Borno State has recorded the highest number of displaced persons. How overwhelming is this?
Borno State have recorded. You say Borno State have recorded.
Dr. Shinkafi, did you get that? Borno State has recorded the highest number of displaced persons. How overwhelming is this?
You see, historically, if you look at the historical background of how Boko Haram was founded, the founder of Boko Haram is from Borno State, Mohammed Yusuf. So the Boko Haram have been selling the ideology to people who are illiterate, and they have recorded more membership in Maiduguri State. That is why Borno State have recorded higher number of IDPs, more than 2 million IDPs. And many IDPs come spread across the Maiduguri State capital. But with what is going on now, with how the government was encouraging and trying to rebuild Borno State after this his inception of his second administration, has been doing everything humanly possible, building houses, markets, to make sure that all the displaced IDPs have returned to their country homes. So it has been reduced, and I have also commended his commitment, his courage and determination to return these IDPs to their hometowns, which has been doing so.
So, Dr. Shinkafi, what do we do with our porous borders?
You see, the problem of the porosity of the border is the high rate of corruption. All the smaller and lighter arms are being smuggled into the land border. Borno State share boundary with Niger Republic. Borno State share boundary with Chad, with even Cameroon Republic. So these borders are porous, and they can be easily smuggled, the smaller and lighter arms, to the land border, because the security agencies there have compromised their official duties. Most of these aliens, illegal immigrant, can easily come into Nigeria even by paying 2,000 naira, 1,000 naira to Nigerian land border, without any permit, a resident permit, or let's pass or CDAO passport. So these are some of the negligence. And the high rate of corruption is one of the cankerworm that have been, is one of the root cause of this insecurity in Nigeria, not only in Borno State. Many northern states have share boundary with Niger Republic, with the Benin Republic, with Cameroon, with Chad. So these smaller and lighter arms can easily be smuggled into the land border. Some of the even unpatriotic security agents have compromised their official duty and their out of office in the aiding and abetting smuggling of smaller and lighter arms into the Nigerian show.
All right, Dr. Shinkafi, let's take a break.
The border needs to be guided. The border needs to be highly protected. The border needs to, there should be a check and balances on this attitude of these unscrupulous security agents who are undermining the authority of the country.
All right. Dr. Shinkafi, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation from where you just stopped. Please stay with us, everyone.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Politics Tonight. Tonight, we're discussing security as we focus on how to deal with fresh Boko Haram threats in Borno State. And I've been speaking with Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi, former Zamfara State Chair, Committee for Prosecution of Armed Banditry-Related Offenses. Dr. Shinkafi, thank you so much for staying with us on the program. You know, before we went on that break, you highlighted corruption as a major factor contributing to the porosity of our borders. And in clear terms, you said the security agencies at the borders are compromised. So, in situations such as the attack on the people of Kerawa, I hope I pronounced that correctly, specifically at the border community of Kerawa in Goza local government. This happened in August, but it left even the security agencies confused because the DPO of that division said the attack could be from Kerawa, Cameroon, and not the Nigerian Kerawa, meaning that he was not even sure of where the attack came from. I mean, further confirms the porosity of our borders. If security agencies are these helpless, what can citizens do? Because there are some northern stakeholders now saying security citizens can go ahead and start carrying arms. Do you buy this idea?
You see, most of this porous border or the local government that share borders with these neighboring countries, there is a lot of ongoing spaces where the security operative cannot be posted to protect such area. So these ongoing spaces, these unauthorized or these insurgents will find it very easily to also sneak into the Nigerian border and also to smuggle this smaller and lighter arm. So the issue of the porosity of the border, the government needs to do everything humanly possible to deploy more resources to have a good and robust border control. By deploying some CCTV cameras, scanners, where the ongoing spaces can be covered by these CCTV cameras. So the government has to do everything humanly possible to see how they can reduce this issue of smuggling of smaller and lighter arms into the Nigerian shore. And the issue of corruption. The issue of corruption in Nigeria, you cannot wave it away on this issue of insecurity. Many funds are being appropriated in the national budget, yet there's nothing to write home about. The government needs to fund this military operation 100%. Where a society is not secured, there will be no development and there will not be economic growth. So if you look at the situation we are facing now, the economic hardship, put insecurity. Insecurity is one of the root cause of the economic hardship we are facing in Nigeria. People cannot go to their farm in the northwest. On this armed bandit enforce levies, taxes. A lot of businesses, socio-economic development in Nigeria is at a stagnant point. The inflation rate this issue of insecurity has contributed to the higher rates of cost of living in Nigeria because of these activities of insecurity. So this present administration had to sit up and make sure that they tackle this issue of insecurity once and for all. A taxpayer money has been paid or has been flowed into the national budget, but yet there is nothing to write home about. The government has to deploy more technological device, and the new chief of army staff who have been confirmed by the National Assembly, that's House of Representatives. This is the numerous challenges he has in the Northeast, most especially the resurfacing of insurgency in the Northeast. Issue of Lakurawa, issue of armed bandit, issue of IFOP, many issues of insecurity, all the segment of the society in the six geopolitical zone has their peculiar security problems. So these are some of the challenges the chief of army staff had to address. And he has to work in synergy with the other sister agencies, the Air Force, Navy, DSS, police, so that they should work in synergy to fight this insecurity, because the Mr. President has no excuse. He has to accept the liability of being the president and the commander of the armed forces of the Republic of Nigeria. And he campaigned to be the president of this country, and he has to accept that responsibility.
Dr. Shikavi, let's talk about the recent female suicide bombers, and now back to Borno State. I mean, this is something we thought we were done with. Are we back to the era of suicide bombing? Is this something governors of the northeastern states should be worried about? And do you agree with the House of Reps members who have said this occurred due to complacency by security agencies and the community?
You see, the government has to check, the state government in particular, has to also check the amnesty program they have granted to the insurgents. The state government have granted amnesty to insurgents, but the state government has to look at what are the modalities. They have to look at the rehabilitation, reconciliation, reintegration of this armed bandit back into the society. When some of these, the insurgents Boko Haram, more than 500,000 of them have been reintegrated into the society. Have the government met up the promise? Have the government met up the promises? If they have not, then these insurgents can still go back to their insurgencies. You understand? So if the government has now granted amnesty, the government has to do counseling to rehabilitate them, to reintegrate them into society. By putting them into maybe skill acquisition, some will be trained how to go back to school, some will be trained how to do some apprentice, some will be trained how to do some skill acquisitions. When this an idle workshop, it's a double workshop. When these insurgents who were granted amnesty will not be taken care of properly by the state government, then they will go back to their days of suicide bombing. So the government has to also sit down and check what is the root cause of the resurfacing of this suicide bombing. Because suicide bombing, we have been witnessing, I think we started from July to date. And suicide bombing has become a history since the inception of Umar Zulum administration. So the government has to come back. Because I have been saying it time without number, there is elite manipulation of the political system. Some unscrupulous politicians are using this issue of insurgency, issue of insecurity, and banditry for political gains. And now, 2027 election is approaching. We have less than 2 years or 2.5 years for new dispensation. So the government have to sit up and check what is the root cause of the surfacing of this insurgency or suicide bombing in Borno State and also in Yobe State.
All right, Dr. Shinkafi, let's stay on this, specifically because for some northern stakeholders who continue to say, when it comes to defeating banditry and terrorism, governors can do more than talking. But with the knowledge you have about what operates in the northern part of the country, can state governors really do more than talking, especially when many Nigerians call them lame duck chief security officers?
Yeah, you see, this issue of insecurity is a tripartite duties. There are some duties that the federal government has the responsibility to do. There are some duties that the state government has the responsibility to do. And also there are some duties the local government authority and also even the councillors have the duty to do. If you look at critically, the root cause of this insecurity is bad governance, corruption, poverty, unemployment. And if you look at the northern state entirely, there is neglect by the northern elite for more than 3 decades or 4 decades. The political elites have neglected the northern region, and educationally the northern region is lagging behind. Most of the resources that are being channeled to the state governors are being looted. If you look at if you go to the EFCC record, many of the governors are on the watch list of EFCC for looting, aiding, and abetting, even diversion of the public funds for personal enrichment. So these are some of the reasons. If you look at it, the money being given to state governors are not being channeled for production, are not channeled for agricultural development, for solar mineral development. So unemployment, poverty, illiteracy is one of the root cause. So the state governors has duties to do with the new local government autonomy. If funds are being channeled to the local council, the local government council also will help in the fight against insecurity, and they will help in the fight against poverty and unemployment in the various local government areas. So the state government has duty. They are people call them dormant chief security officers, but each and every blessing month they receive statutory allocation from the federation account. What are they doing with the funds? Have they created employment? Have they also fight for poverty? Have they support local policy? I'm not in the opinion that an individual should hold arms, because the holding of arms will escalate also the issue of insecurity in the northern Nigeria. But the state government has to do the needful. The state government has to support the conventional security in their various states. Some of these governors who hold a office of chief security officers are not chief security officers. They are chief security officers of their pockets. You see a governor will be collecting 1 billion naira security board, but he cannot support the security in his state. The monthly subvention they used to give military, police, DSS, it's not has nothing to write home about. It's not up to the 20% of the money they have been collecting monthly as a security boards. So they have the role to play, and they should also do the needful in the fight against insecurity, terrorism, and banditry, and many other criminal elements in the northern Nigeria.
So I haven't talked about the need for increased budgetary allocation, technological advancements. But 2 weeks ago, the federal government committed to strengthening Nigeria's military capabilities through improved research and development. This has been reiterated by the Minister of Defense, Muhammadu Badaru. How do we enhance and strengthen this aspect of our operations?
You see, there's many ways to improve the security operation by diverting from the conventional security to advanced technology, by using advanced intelligence devices, using drone, Tucano. You see, it is a very unfortunate situation. It is on record. During the first administration of Muhammadu Buhari, Tucano jet fighter was procured, but yet we have not seen this Tucano jet fighter fighting these insurgents or armed bandits. Yet when the Nigeria took the delivery of the Tucano, they say unless armed bandits are being declared terrorists before the deployment of these Tucano jet fighters. Yet the Federal High Court in 2021 declared armed bandit as a terrorist group. Yet nobody see this Tucano fighting this insecurity. So there is need for commitment. There is need for honesty and sincerity on the part of the government. There is need for also patriotism on the part of the security agents on this part of this insecurity. People have turned this issue of some unpatriotic security agents have turned this fight against insecurity as a money-making machine, ATM-making machine. You understand? This thing supposed to finish. This issue of Boko Haram started in 2009 during the period of late Shehu Adwa of blessed memory. Now for more than a decade, we are still talking of Boko Haram. Why is the money? Why is the budget? There should be a forensic auditing, forensic accounting on how these funds are being utilized. You understand?
Dr. Shikafi, you just raised a very valid point, but do we even have enough equipment and ammunition to fight these monsters?
You see, government have been budgeting this money on security in trillions in the national budget. So why the government cannot meet the superpowers? I have heard from the Chief of Defense Staff say sometime when they approach these superpowers to procure some military hardware, they will deny Nigeria to buy these hardware and other technological devices. There should be also another so-called option. If Russia maybe decided not to sell the military hardware or equipment to Nigeria, they can switch to America or China or Japan. So we should not use the monopolistic market. You understand? We should not use monopoly. You have to expand to secure for another place to buy this military hardware and also military training. So most of the securities we have here, including police, army, airports, are understaffed, underfunded, under-equipped, under-trained. And they are not appreciated, they are not motivated by the state governors. There should be, the government need to increase the welfare of the security agencies across the country in terms of their allowances, accommodation, and payment of their benefits, duties, allowances. So this is what we are talking about.
Absolutely. Let's talk about interagency collaboration in tackling insecurity. Has there been any improvements?
On the issue of interagency collaboration is one of the also problems we are facing in this country. Let me give you an example. When the Kuje prison was attacked, DSS said that they have written many intelligence reports to the action agencies, more than 10 times, yet nothing has been done. So there's need for collaboration, symbiotic relationship. The internal intelligence agencies, that is the DSS, CIB, other NIA, should collaborate with the action agencies. And when they gather this, when they make this intelligence gathering, they will now take action. That is action agencies. Both the military, police, and the Air Force, even including the Navy. So there should be a symbiotic relationship. There should be all hands must be on deck to salvage this country from this criminal, terrorist, and armed bandit. You understand? Historically,
no, I asked you that question, Dr. Shinkafi, because according to a situation report from the military, the rescue operation that led to the freedom of the abducted corps members was attributed to concerted efforts and synergy by the military, the police, Air Force, and all sister agencies. And that's for kidnapping. But for terrorism, when it comes to intelligence sharing and intelligence gathering, is there a need for a different approach?
You see, the only approach that the locals should give a valid information to security agencies, because most of these insurgents, Boko Haram, armed bandits, most of them are indigenous. Let me also refresh your memory. This issue of Boko Haram ideology started from Borno State, and the founder of Boko Haram said is from Maiduguri, from Borno State. So that should be a community policy. The locals, that is the community, should give a valid information, intelligence gathering to security agencies, and that will help them in curtailing the fight against these insurgencies and armed banditry and other terrorism in Nigeria. Once you cannot get the information from the local authority, from the local people, then it will be very difficult, because these security agencies are not magicians. They are not robots. They have to work on the valid informations for them to strike. And that is why also the internal security also, we need to improve on the internal security. And like this, the DSS, the personnel are so minimal. The DSS need to recruit more personnel that will go deep into the community and to help in the intelligence gathering. You can see a local government, you cannot see more than 20 or 10 DSS personnel. Like in my local government where I come from, in Shinkabi local government, we don't have 10 DSS personnel. So there is need for DSS to recruit more personnel to help in the internal intelligence gathering, to help this, to work with the action agencies.
All right, Dr. Shinkafi, overall, how do you charge, right, overall, as we wrap up tonight, how do you charge the Tinubu administration in securing this country?
Yeah, as you see, the Tinubu administration have did very, very remarkable achievement in terms of providing insecurity, most especially in the Northwest. A lot of theaters were created. Operation Fansanyama, Operation Hadarin Daji, many theater operations were conducted, and a very remarkable achievement have been recorded, because Halilu Sububu is one of the most wanted, most strongest, most wealthiest, deadly armed bandit kingpin in the Northwest, but have been neutralized when Mr. President directed Minister of State for Defense, Bello Motawale, and the Chief of Defense Staff to relocate to Sokoto, and that was many armed bandit kingpins were neutralized by the military authorities. And also with the effort is making across the country, I think he has been doing well, but he needs to tighten his belt and double his effort in tackling this issue of insecurity, because Nigeria must stay, and you have this is one of his responsibilities as the head of the government, as a commander-in-chief armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Right. Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi, former Zamfara State Chair, Committee for Prosecution of Armed Banditry-Related Offenses. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and getting your perspectives on security matters. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Olajumoke. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG, and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria.